Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd here with Bish's RV with a potentially serious towing safety issue for you today, and something that at the very least might help you in your shopping process and potentially as an owner avoid putting undue stress on your vehicle. And basically we're going to be talking about before you buy the RV, how can you really determine what the loaded hitch weight of this thing is going to be? Now you might have noticed how I really stressed loaded hitch weight. Because the rough estimated empty hitch weight of any of these things is available right off the manufacturer's website. But when that's just a one-time sample that they have hard measured. They have to be able to prove that number, but only one time. The trick is some of these RVs can have drastically different equipment packages, and even if you do get, let's say you get the exact one the factory measured, that's the empty hitch weight. That's with no water in the tanks, that's with no cargo. That's not a real world viable number that you're actually going to be towing down the road. The problem is, when manufacturers actually build models, there's no way that they can actually provide you like a, here's the hitch weight that you can expect when you take this thing home, because no manufacturer, no dealer, nobody can really predict how much cargo you're going to put into it and where that cargo will be distributed and how that will affect the hitch versus the tail weight of this thing in a little bit of a cantilever effect. So, as an owner, how can you actually find out what the hitch weight of one of these things is and not get yourself into a dangerous situation? Well, that's kind of the catch-22. There's no way that you can actually truly know the hitch weight of your trailer, the way you're going to load cargo into it, until potentially it's far too late, until you've already purchased the thing. And I wish I had a better answer for you than that. But again, being clear and candid and just putting that stuff right out there, let's have a real talk and then let's start talking about solutions. And that's what I want to mention today is, as an owner, as a potential owner, as a shopper, what can you do? Is there anything you can do to try to figure out how much, maybe, let's say worst case scenario hitch weight you might run into? And I've actually devised, frankly, a very simple method of doing this. It just comes down to hashtag math. The good news is it's not really like high-level rocket science math. And by the way, what I'm sharing today applies equally to travel trailers as fifth wheels. If you appreciate how we took time out of our day to help keep you folks safe and put your safety before the sale, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and here's how you can figure this stuff out at home. Basically, the first thing you should do is grab a manufacturer's brochure or their website, get the manufacturer's base specs on this thing, locate the hitch weight and the empty unloaded vehicle weight of that RV, divide the hitch weight by the empty weight. That will give you a number, a ratio, roughly say, like it'll be like, say, 0.15. That means 15% of the dry weight of that RV is represented on the hitch. That is your rough barometer mark. Now you're going to take that ratio and multiply it against the gross vehicle weight, the maximum weight of the empty RV plus maximum cargo, and that will give you a fair estimated barometer of a worst case scenario maximum loaded hitch weight that you can get on that RV. Now, that's a lot of stuff to just kind of yammer on, so I'm going to run you through a couple examples real quick and kind of show my math on this. So today, volunteering as tribute, this Keystone Cougar. This is a 29 RKS model. So go into Keystone's website. It says that this has an empty unloaded vehicle weight, like dry weight, no propane, no water, no cargo, of 8,780 pounds. All right. It says that it has a hitch weight with that rating measured at 1,620 pounds. If you take 1,620 divided by 8,780, you get about 18.2 or 3% hitch weight. So of that 8,780 pounds empty weight of this RV, 1,620 pounds of that can be expressed and measured directly off that hitch pin behind us. Now, you do the same thing here. We take that 18% and multiply that against the 10,400 pound max gross vehicle weight, meaning empty weight plus max cargo, and you get about 1,890 to 1,900 pounds. So let's say you loaded this thing with absolute max cargo. That means it's going to be putting about 1,900 pounds pushing down into the bed of your pickup. That right there is going to exceed almost any half-ton vehicle out there. There are technically some very select, very capable half-tons that could handle that, but almost all of them will not. Now, the other thing you have to consider is working against your vehicle's payload is you. Your own passenger weight and all the weight of the stuff and the weight of the physical hitch that you install in the bed of your vehicle is also working against that. So you need to take that 1890 and add to it additional weight. And you need to find a pickup with the payload rating, not the tow rating, but the payload rating that can handle that. And if you don't know the difference between towing and payload, that's okay. There's no shame in that. Leave me a comment. I'll do my best to kind of fill and explain real quick in text. It's not a super complicated difference. I've got separate videos on it. In fact, I'll leave a video talking about the difference between towing and payload in the description of this very video if you'd like to learn a little more without, putting yourself on blast out there. That is one of the nice things about a screen name, though. You can hide behind them. The trolls certainly know that, don't they? So that's one example here. That's a fifth wheel. Let's go look at a travel trailer and just kind of run through the process again. Next up on the chopping block, a 29 BH Whitehawk, another very popular floor plan. Again, showing you how this works just as well on a travel trailer. Take your calculator and start with 795 pounds of empty hitch weight as measured by Jayco. Divide by the 7,095 pound empty dry weight as also stated by Jayco. That will result in about 11.2% hitch weight versus dry weight. So that's our rough magic ratio in this one. Notice ratios can be very, very different on two different RVs, and toy haulers will also get kind of wacky. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, take that number, that 0.112 whatever is on the calculator, hit times 8,500 gross vehicle weight will yield about 952 pounds of maximum loaded hitch weight on this RV. I want to stress though, this is not a guarantee of here is what your actual loaded payload rating will be. The only way for you to know what your individual loaded hitch weight is going to be is to get something home and to load it up the way you're going to tow it down the road. Because I've seen things for a lot of years here in this business. I've been doing this for a baker's dozen years at the time of this recording, going on 14 actually, getting closer. And I've yet to see two people really load their cargo the same. So that's the only way you can really know. What I want to give you is some shopping advice before you pull the trigger and then find out, oh crap, this thing's pushing my vehicle all over the place. Because if you have too much hitch weight in the back, overloading your payload rating means the front of your vehicle is nose high to the sky and light, and that means that you're going to be wiggling all over the road, and that thing's going to push you all over the place. Now, speaking of those things, I said how toy hauler hitch weights get a little bit wacky. Consider the physical layout and design of a toy hauler towable RV. You have a big, empty, lightweight, open garage in the back that is intended to be occupied by a lot of weight, potentially. So as a result, travel trailer and fifth wheel toy haulers, when they are empty being towed, have an unusually high hitch rating, typically, because they are expecting the load in the back to kind of even this thing out and to create a cantilever effect, basically like a seesaw, to help balance a little bit of that out. It's one of the reasons a lot of RV delivery drivers generally dislike, especially hauling the big fifth wheel toy haulers, because it just really puts a lot of strain on their truck. So you need to really consider what you're loading into it, how you're loading it, and keep in mind the way you're loading something and the way you are using it may be very, very different from someone else. So this is a generalized, tip, trick, and guide shopping barometer. If on paper this looks like it's in the black, you're probably going to be okay. But keep in mind, there are some RVs that just have a huge front storage cavity, like a fifth wheel, has a gigantic basement cavity often in the front, and a big front storage closet in the front. You can put so much cargo weight dead on the nose of that thing that you may skew that little, mathematical answer that I gave you out of whack a little bit. This is a guide, not a Bible. That's a very key distinction. And once again, if you found this useful and beneficial, if you appreciate the way we're trying to put the safety out there, at the very least, please click that like button. And if you're new with us, or if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and know that in addition to things like RV tours, we put out safety and tip and trick information like this for you. Again, wanting to make sure you're buying your second camper the first time, and you're not ending up in a ditch or the hospital or worse. Safety before the sale is one of those things. There just is no value, I think, can be placed on that. And the way I've always, I was raised to conduct my business is if I bump into you in Walmart and you bought an RV from me, I don't want to have to hide in the dog food aisle if you're buying a head of lettuce. I'd rather we just hit this right up front. If we find out the RV you're looking at isn't the right one, better to find out now then after all that money's been spent, you're locked into something like a bank contract and it's too late. So until next time, take care, stay safe, have fun, and best wishes from Bishes, everyone.